not even burning out. You're working harder than others, and I think you'll have a lot more success now. So first step is to pick your game, your industry. The second step is to determine your role. So once you figure out this industry, now is the time to really think about, okay, well, what am I good at? How can my skills fit into this game that I play, right? In these RPG games, you'll see that you can pick. You can pick, oh, I'm the axe, the warrior, I'm the magician, I'm the wizard. So kind of really figuring out what that is. And those are based on your skills and interests. And the key thing is find your initial stats and fill. So what does that mean? It means that those are the things that you are kind of for your natural talents. So those aren't the skills you've learned. So for instance, when you say, so these aren't things like programming skills. It will be something more like logic. And you think about something like memory, like I'm good at memory. Sometimes that's too basic. Wait, no, I'm very good at memorizing events. I'm very good at memorizing names, but I suck at memorizing numbers, right? You want to really figure out what you are a little bit better than others. And this is also hard because most things that people are good at, they're born pretty good at. It's so natural to them that they don't even know that they have talent, right? They think everyone does it very easily. And this is why you should try a lot of things, because sometimes you face that golden moment where you're like, hey, wait a second, why is everyone struggling at this thing? This is really easy. And that's when you realize, oh, I actually have this talent. And you won't be able to identify that moment unless you actually try a lot of things. You actually explore. Again, don't be the NPC that always stays in the same place, says the same thing. Go out, explore, try different things. Now, but it's important again to understand the innate talents, and again, when you know your initial skill sets, then you want to pick a career field that kind of fits into that. And so, like, let's say if you have a lot of strength in magic or intelligence, you don't want to choose to be an axeman, right? It's like you want to be a wizard in the game, per se. So I have a little thing called the talent triangle. So I believe that everyone is really, really good at one thing, and then pretty good at two or three things, and then someone good at a few things. And so this is a random one that I created for myself. This is probably 6 years ago, and I realized that one of my top talents is what I call associative thinking. My brain somehow makes connections between things that people think are totally random. Okay, and when I was a student, this punished me a lot. So sometimes, I remember I was at UCLA, let's say I would take a class, and the class, I have to read 2 books and write an analysis piece about the 2 books. And I realized that if I worked really, really hard, I read both books, maybe even twice, I did a lot of outside research, a lot of thinking. I wrote a paper that I'm super proud of, and I turn it in. Oftentimes, I get a really bad grade, because the professor says, oh, what you wrote has nothing to do with the material. You clearly didn't understand the class, the material. And I'm like, what are you talking about? If I don't understand, how can I come up with all this stuff, right? And maybe you think, okay, maybe you're just stupid, right? You think you know all this stuff, but you don't. You just miss the mark, right? But I also know that, and other times, the same type of assignment, but this time I didn't read the book. I didn't do anything, because I was running my company. And I'm writing this paper. All I do is, I think I remember the professor said these things in class. Let me just write it down. And then I get a high grade, And so that was very demotivating. It's like, well, you don't really want me to access my strengths, to put in a lot of effort into this class, right? And this is what I call this like academic bulimia, which is the self-throwing up. It's like the professors don't want you to eat the food and digest it and turn to your own energy to your stuff. They want you to eat it and then regurgitate it and spit it back out on a piece of paper, right? And I was pretty bad at that. So at the time I realized I was a little bit unique. I thought differently, but I got punished for that. But the question is there a way to make that actually useful and use that as a strength? And this and it has helped me a lot. Even my field of gamification. Gamification is connecting games and work together, right? A lot of people at the beginning didn't see any connection at all. Remember I said I started doing this in 2003. Gamification now is a global movement. A lot of companies, a lot of organizations care about it. But for 7 years going into it, everyone thought I was crazy. Okay, they thought I was creating more excuses to play games. And that wasn't the case. So I identified that's one of my top skills, associative thinking, which leads to creativity, which leads to creative problem solving. again, I would advise to spend time thinking about it. A lot of people say, oh, wow, that seems to be a lot. This is like less than an hour, right? You can put less than an hour of your time thinking about what you're actually good at. And hopefully, you've been able to you spend more time every week, and it gets more and more developed, so you actually understand more and more of it. Learn use conversion, actually. Oh, one thing I realized is that I always thought I really hated learning, but for some reason, whenever I learn something, within 2 weeks, I can apply it. Like, I was like, oh, wow, I just learned this new thing 2 weeks ago. And I just realized, whoa, that means if I learn something, I actually, ROI is very high. The return on investment, it's like, so maybe I should learn more things. So, I just noticed a lot of things. Poor humor, I guess. Yeah, so this allows you to understand what you need to learn and how you fit into this game, this industry, this passion you're doing. So then you build your skill sets. You think about, all right, this is where I am. Let's say, again, in the game example, I'm a wizard, I'm an axeman. What are the skill sets I need to learn to be able to be a strong wizard, a strong axeman, a strong consultant, a strong, corporate employee, even a strong swimming coach, whatever it is, whatever you want to be. So there's no judgment on what's difficult, what's not. It's more about what's meaningful to you. But you want to think about what are the skill sets, right? In the game, people can plan this really well. They'll say, oh, well, in level 1, I'll put a skill point in this. Level 13, I'll do this. Level 20, I'll do this. And they just plan it all out. It's like, at level 60, I'm a very powerful character because, the axe synergizes with this, and this skill makes the skill even better, and I'm so powerful, right? People are good at career planning. Gamers are good at career planning. This is literally basically that. What do you need to learn as your career journey goes on? But when it's back to their own careers, then again, they have no idea what's going on. They don't know. They don't even know what's out there, what's potentially possible. So you want to think about what is your ideal skill combo? What are the things you have to learn? So, some people will say, well, look, my game is peace in the Middle East. And of course, well, I need to understand the history of the region. I probably need to learn the language. I probably need to learn, what is the conflict about, even the religion of both sides. I need to understand diplomacy. There's all these things you realize you need to learn, right? Skill sets, you have to build it up. And it's better to focus on a few essential skills as opposed to have a little bit of everything, right? I always say it's better, and this happens with a lot of my corporate clients too, or even startup clients. A lot of them are like, hey, let's do this. We'll go into this market. We'll do this too. We have to add this feature in this product. And I just tell them, hey, look, it's much, much better to be awesome in a few places compared to sucking everywhere, right? Because for everything you're doing, if you're doing 10 things, you'll realize for every one thing you're doing, there's going to be dozens more companies, probably bigger than you, just focused on that one thing, right? And if you're doing 10 things that are separately, then how can you actually be competitive anywhere, right? And so focus on a few essential skills. And also, you want to invest in synergetic skills. So the gaming example, it's like, hey, if you put some skill sets in a sword mastery and you put some skills in spear mastery and axe mastery, that doesn't really help because at any one given time you can only use one weapon, right? So they're not synergetic, most of them not. So oftentimes what you do is you say, all right, I'm going to put a lot of skills in sword mastery because I want to be a swords guy, but then I'm going to also invest my skill point and time into iron skin so I don't get hurt so easily, and then I'll invest more points in jumping very high. So now you become a very well-rounded skill set person, right? So you can go around and do a lot of these things. You want to think about what are those skills that you need to build. And then, similarly, just like I said, the talents has those triangles. There's also the skill triangle. So the skill triangle I divided into two things. This is where you are right now, and this is where you think you should be to be a high-level person. This I put it a long time ago, so what is this stuff? So at the time, I would say, okay, well, because I have this empathy skills, I care about people, I can see, I like to empower people, see their strength. I felt my strongest skill is actually coaching, because I'm good at motivating people, and I'm good at seeing what their talent is, and I actively help a lot of my friends really find their career. And I think, well, I'm also, people seem to like me when I meet them. I'm very genuine and sociable. I feel like my bilingual English and Mandarin skills are probably neither of them are super awesome, but together I'm probably one of the stronger things. Because some people are really good at English, a lot of people are Mandarin, some people are really good at Mandarin, weak in English, but both of mine are pretty strong. was better all the way until college, and then my English took over. So now I barely can. When I went to China and I did some work with Huawei, they asked if I could do it in Chinese, and kind of did it in Chinese. Gamification at the time, yeah, I was like, wait, a lot of my stuff is this thing called gamification. So, but I didn't think it was my strongest thing. I was just starting learning about it. Slowly figuring out what other things I'm good at. But then at the same time, I thought, okay, if I wanted to, let's say, be the strongest Octalis' gamification consultant in the world, where do I need to be at? What do I need to learn? So I was like, okay, well, pretty biased, but if I want to be the top expert in the world in Octalis', my own framework, that should probably be my core skills of what I'm best at. But then I need to understand all the other things, right? I need to understand game dynamics, how games work. I need to understand business systems, how we businesses, right? How do they generate ROI? How do they produce value? Behavioral economics, how does the economy run? Motivator psychology. I need to understand all. Those are my core skills. Understanding how the brain works, how people make decisions, and be able to change it. Of course, then I need to know technology, neurobiology. Okay, but beyond that, if I want to be a strong consultant, I can't just know my stuff. That's a mistake for a lot of consultants. They think if they just do their trade skill very, very well, they'll be successful. But the problem is, as a consultant, you need two skills, right? You need your trade skills, you need to do your job really well, but you also need to run a business. You need to manage clients, you need to get clients, you need to do all these things, or else it doesn't matter if you're the best person in the world doing this thing. If you have no clients, if no one can be persuaded, then you don't have a job, right? You don't have a livelihood. So then I figured, okay, well, I need to have some other skills. Trustful persuasiveness. You'll be able to persuade people, but in a trustful manner. They trust what you're saying. Presentation skills. I needed to get better. Over here, let's see if I have presentation skills. Nope. At the time, I sucked at presentation. Literally, nowadays people see me make speeches in front of like 2,000 people, and I'm comfortable, and people say, "Wow, that's amazing." Literally, in 8th grade, I was so terrified of public speaking. I was so scared. Like, even if I see my friend go up on stage, I'm like shaking, okay? It's a skill. Just learn it. It's like, people would tell me, it's like, oh no, I just can't stand public speaking. I just get so scared, so nervous. I'm not like you. I'm like, you're basically telling me that you try to play a game and you die 2 times, and therefore you can't play the game. You suck at it, right? Most games we play, we lose a lot. We keep dying and we get better. On stage 1, we die 47 times. And then it's like, okay, now we get to stage 2, and we die another 58 times, and we get to stage 3. You eventually become really good at the game, right? How many games out there would survive if people quit after the first time they die? Not that many, right? So it's like, hey, just do it, right? Do it a few times, do it more times, you feel more and more natural, you get better at it. So I feel like, hey, look, to do what I need to do, to be in my final position, I need to get a presentation. I also need to do a lot of stuff like internet marketing, so video production. Nowadays, I make a lot of video content. SEO. This was my planning many years ago, by the way, so I'm doing okay on these things now. And then it's like, oh, well, if I run a business eventually, it's not my core skill, but I probably need to know how the legal stuff works, And I did want to also add a 3rd language, English, Chinese, Spanish. Not doing a good job there yet, so maybe one day. But the key is that this allows you to understand why you are learning something. Right? I would have no idea I should learn neurobiology, right? If I took it in school, it's one of the important test subject matters, right? It's just one of the G, whatever. I just take it to get a good grade, to get an A or B, and then move on and forget about it. But now it's like, oh, well, in order for me to go from here to here, I need to know when dopamine fires, when oxytocin fires, like how the brain works. And so now it's like, okay, now this became pretty interesting because I saw why am I learning this. Sometimes you'll have a student who says, okay, why do I care about writing class, right? English. Why do I care about this class? I want to be an engineer. I want to be a computer scientist. I want to be a scientist, right? English is useless, right? It's just one of those really annoying things I have to take in school. But then it's like, hey, look, you want to be one of the great scientists in the world, right? But there's a ton of great people out there who have great science, who write great code. But you know what they suck at? Convincing other people that their stuff is good, right? There's a lot of people who have great research and no one cares. They write a paper, it just sits there. People think it's crap. Maybe they die 50 years later. Someone says, oh, this stuff is actually really good, right? So it is important to be a great scientist. It can't be your top skill. You have to be a great scientist. You have to be a good science skill. But it's important for you to be able to be persuasive, to have good writing, to be able to convince people. And this is when it's like, oh yeah, now I see why learning writing is kind of useful, right? Because they can see how it helps them play their game, helps them build their career, it makes them a stronger player in their game. Or else it's just a distraction. When you really think about, when you're really engaged with your game, everything else is a distraction. You don't want to do the other things. You don't want to go to the beach and have a vacation, right? You want to focus on your game. All right. So now we have the skills, the ability skills. The next step is to find allies. So, first in the game, almost in most situations in life, we can't do things by ourselves, right? We have to rely on others. We have to have teamwork. We have to have friends and connections. You know, even every single dollar we make is given by someone else, right? So you need to connect with people. That's very important. Now, what's useful is finding people with the same passions. They're playing the same game as you. They're also interested in solving global warming or making Singapore the leading nation in the world on whatever you want. Or, you know, and again, sometimes the game is I just want to, you know, make a difference in nonprofit, right? I want to help the handicapped society, or I want to, you know, or even I want to have a good, solid family. That's a goal too. But just you want to find people who have the same passion, play the same game, but ideally complementary skills to you. So they don't have the same stats, they don't have the same build. If you are a warrior, they could be a healer. So in sometimes the startup world, it's like, hey, if you're a business guy, you find an engineer, right? But if you're both of you are business guys, that's okay too. Maybe one person's better at finance and accounting, the other's better at marketing and sales, for instance. So, but it's good to find people, same passion, complementary skills. You want to find people who are much higher level than you are. These are called mentors. And so in a game, oftentimes when you start playing, if you're lucky, your friends will have to play the game for longer. They're high level, and they will tell their friend, they will bring you to the high level dungeons, and you can't do anything, but they're killing all the monsters for you, and you level up really, really, really quickly. You see how that skill level takes place. Like, wow, I'm really improving myself a lot. But just as important, it's useful to help people lower level than you level up. Mentees, people who are still in school, people who are younger. And, you know, time goes by really quickly. 5 years, 10 years goes by really quickly. Very few people, if they're playing this game, if they're passionate, if they're hustling, if they're motivated, stay low level, right? Today, person who's 17 years old says, hey, Yukai, I want you to help me, right? And I'll try as best as I can to help as much as I can, because I know, I'm not saying I'm very good at it because I'm very stretched, but I try. But I don't dismiss it, because I know when they're 17, you know, again, 8 years comes really fast, right? Later on, they're 25. Now they're a fully respectable professional. If they've been playing this game, you know, they're trying to pursue, like I started my first business when I was 18, right? In 25, I was already doing my lecture at Stanford University. So these people, if you can help them grow, they become valuable allies to you. So it's important to think about, and this is actually even more meaningful, because when they feel like you help them grow, when they actually become high level, that's a stronger connection. That's a stronger bond, right? That's a strong forge of a connection. And sometimes they, you know, and that'll happen a lot over 15, 20 years. People that you mentor will become more successful than you are. Will do something even better than you, right? And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. That means you now have a very powerful ally, right? Who can help you in many things. Connections are very important. Now, there's a thing about people feeling like, oh, you know, networking is very scary, you know. It's like outside of my comfort zone. And I still feel scared when I network with strangers. And it's funny because when you go to a networking event, it's like, okay, I know I should meet someone. I know I should talk to people. And then it's like, but it's still kind of it's kind of scary. And then there's always this moment when you like two people's eyes like see each other. And then you have to make a choice. You can, sometimes choice number one is look down again and start walking away, right? I've done that before. You know, other people probably have done that. The other choice is, oh, hey, how's it going? You know, shake hands. And usually what you see is they're kind of making the same decision too. And when they see you walk, they go, oh, hey, how's it going, right? You know, it's just everyone's kind of shy, everyone's kind of scared. So just might as well, you're the one who's like more outgoing. I used to be really scared of asking for directions. You know, I feel like, oh, I'm disturbing them. They're going to be so annoyed when I ask for directions. But then I thought from the other point of view, I'm like, wait a second. When I'm on the street and someone asks me direction, I'm not pissed or annoyed or something. I'm actually a little worried that, oh, maybe I can't help him very well, right? Maybe I'll give the wrong direction. So if this guy could be like me, he's worried about this. Why am I nervous to talk to him, right? I can just talk to him. it's really a analogy where it's like inside your comfort zone, you have like a bubble. And outside your comfort zone, there's like this huge, scary dragon. Breathe fire, very, very scary. However, you need to realize that you are invincible to this dragon. There's no way this dragon can hurt you. It's called the Harmless Dragon. So when you talk to people, again, it's like, what is the worst going to happen, right? So oftentimes, when you talk to people and it's unsuccessful, right? You talk to like someone you think is important, you try to approach them, right? The worst case scenario is that they never talk to you again. You never talk to each other again, right? Which is by default the result if you don't talk to them, right? So the worst case scenario when you approach someone is the same result as if you don't talk to them. Actually, there is a worst case, which is this one. The worst case is that you talk to that person and that person's a jerk, right? That person dismisses you and they feel so snobby and they go, hey, I'm so important. Today someone wanted to talk to me, I ignore them, ha ha ha, right? That's the worst case, right? You made someone who's snobby feel good about himself, right? Did you lose an arm? No. Did you lose a leg? No. Just move on, right? You should probably be happy that they kind of just dismiss you because they're probably not a good person to build a good friendship with anyway. All right, so build your alliance. You want to network. The next step is to find quests to complete, to level up, to learn the skills that you said that you knew that you needed to learn. For some people, it's like finding an internship. For some people, it's trying a new hobby. Go online. There's tons of courses online. Start learning, taking a new course. Learn about gamification. Read a book, whatnot. But you want to understand what are the steps to do that help you beat your final mission, right? You want to solve global warming. Okay, well, participate in a nonprofit that's doing this. You want to understand, what's going on in the Middle East. Hey, just quit your job for a year, for 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is. Go sign up for some kind of nonprofit or some activity. Go be there and see what's going on. That will help you increase your skill, not staying at your current job for another 3 or 6 months because you've already learned all the things you can learn there, right? And now you're just kind of being an NPC, just collecting your stable check. And the problem is, so all that stuff is fine usually, but the reason why I'm also bringing this up because the world is now changing so quickly, right? The NPCs are gone. New NPCs are coming in, right? And so if you just always stay in the same place, you're not fluid. You're gonna one day you're gonna feel comfortable. I don't care about the world. It's all. But one day you realize, wait a second, my skills are not necessary anymore. My skills are not important anymore. What do I do now, right? That's like a rude awakening. But if you're constantly playing this, you're constantly thinking about, oh wait, this is where the world is moving. This is where I need to complete more quests. And you're moving with the world. When you are fluid with the world, you become the best talent. Right now, the issue is in the world, there is a global surplus of labor, not labor, but there's a global shortage of talent, right? Very few talents. So the question is, how can you be a talent, not be labor? And being a talent means you're able to have the right skills that people need at that point in society, right? And so it's important to think about these things and be fluid and learn about what are the quests you need to do to complete, to learn various skills and grow. There's actually a TED Talk, I think it's called Point After Midnight, and he talks about how in the world there's one point, and he calls it point after midnight, that the entire world shifts, and all the rules change after that point. And he said that point is when the speed of which the world is changing surpasses the speed we can learn things. So it doesn't matter how fast you can acquire knowledge. This world is just changing faster, right? Sometimes in some fields, right after you get your diploma, your knowledge is already obsolete, right? And so in that world, this talk talks about, it's about how do you become resourceful? How do you know where's the right information, where's the right people? How do you become, find the right solution at the right time, as opposed to knowing all the knowledge ahead, right? The internet allows you to be resourceful. Connections allow you to be resourceful. Also, it's nice to complete these quests with your teammates, right? Again, these are people playing the same game, passionate just like you are, complementary skills, and you're doing the quest with them. It's like, hey, let's do this together. Let's start a company together. Let's join this nonprofit together. Let's learn gamification together. And the nice thing about that is that as you grow together, you grow in chemistry. And over time, you eventually see, oh, these guys, we had a falling out. We don't fit working together. But over time, the people that constantly are sticking with you those are the people who have, you work with lifelong. So I've worked with a lot of people, and there's 2 or 3 people that I've just been working with for over 10 years, and I just, if I can involve them in my project, I do, because they are top talent. They don't disappoint me. They're packaged. They have good energy, and we have good synergy. So you want to find that. And similar theme, like you want to be persistent. Don't be afraid of rejection or failure, just like the Harmless Dragon. First of all, always fail when you have the least to lose, right? Always risk the most when you have the least to lose, and that's usually when the youngest you are. When I was a college student, when I ran a startup, that's okay, right? I'm learning. I can fail, but if I fail, as long as I'm not going into debt or anything, if I fail, I'm just back to the situation where all my classmates are at, right? Just being a college student, not worrying about money, going to parties, except I learned so much more, right? Sometimes this is about getting MBA, Let's say my goal, my skill channel is like, I want to be the top entrepreneur possible when I reach 30, let's say. And so the question is, should I get an MBA, right? And if you want to be like a corporate executive, that's your game, MBA is very, very helpful. If you want to be an entrepreneur, almost all MBA programs are not very good at turning into an entrepreneur. A lot of people, Stanford Business School, I have all these friends, these fans, they tell me the same thing. And so, yes, you will learn things from your business school. You'll learn something, but the opportunity cost. If you could spend the same 2 years running your own, but doing something else, you could probably learn more. And if you don't have to go spend $200,000 to do it. If you spend the same $200,000 investing in your own business, after 2 years, it doesn't matter if your startup is a failure or success. I believe you're a stronger entrepreneur, right? As opposed to people who just finished their business school. When you finish business school, there's still newbies, and you can do a lot of things actually. I have a lot more friends finishing from business school, and I know quite well. There was a time when I was an undergrad student, when I saw MBA students, like, whoa, they're so powerful, they're so special, they're so important, they're so smart, they know all the answers in the world. And I actually made a lot of mistakes because I had them help me do a business plan, and they said, you need this, you need this, you need this, and I wrote a 60-page business plan. Spent half the year doing it, because that's what their classes are teaching them to do, right? So I'm finally proud of the business plan, and I give it to this venture capitalist, and he says, we don't read anything beyond a 2-page executive summary. And it's like, that's so stupid, wasting my time. But anyway, and so there are 5 things that are useful to keep score in career growth. Scores are important in games. So one is your ability, how good you are at improving your skill. We talked about the skill triangle, the ability triangle. How good is it? That's irreplaceable. You need to have good skill. You need to invest in your knowledge, your education. You need to grow. Beyond that is how many